This week on Marketplace, you think you're covered.
We get home, and now we're in financial ruin.
But what if you're not?
Ordinary people are out thousands and thousands of dollars.
The promise to protect.
I was angry.
It's a crash course in insurance. Your car, your home, your vacation. What you need to know.
Well, that's crazy. Why are we paying on the insurance?
We check the fine print and you're not covered.
And later,
I'm not happy at all.
another one of your picks for the dumbest charge ever.
We're at this Toronto ice rink, finding out what's tripping up so many Canadians when it comes to insurance. We're beginning the lesson with the basics.
What?
Tom, you ready for a skate?
What I don't do for Marketplace.
How not to fall for insurance
Great.
pitfalls. Canadians spend more than $75 billion on insurance to protect the big things in life. And the companies selling those plans are cleaning up.
Why do you buy insurance?
Partly because I have to, just for security and coverage for my family.
Kind of the unforeseen events in life.
To protect yourself in case something happens.
Your home, your car, your vacation. Insurance is there to protect you. But what we really want to know is,
Are you covered?
our first lesson is about your vacation.
Going on vacation this winter?
I think I am.
Cuba, Jamaica.
Oh, Florida.
To California.
But it's not just the sun that can leave you burned. You might get sick or hurt.
Will you buy travel health insurance?
Yes? I usually do, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Travel health insurance is cheap, makes us feel safe. So a lot of us sign up before we fly. Erica travels to Gold River, BC to find out why one couple was left out in the cold.
Tracy and Bill Jennings decided it was time for their first trip as snowbirds. Before they left, they did what millions of Canadians do, bought travel health insurance, paid $340. And like Bill, if you're over 60, you have to fill out a medical questionnaire.
So as far as you knew, you went online, you filled it out. You thought you had travel health insurance.
Yes.
And did you?
No, apparently not.
10 days into the trip, Bill got chest pains, numbness in his arm. Then, the bad news, a heart attack. Bill needed immediate surgery for 5 blockages in his heart.
The surgeon explained that Bill could not be flown home for this because a change in altitude could bring on another heart attack.
You've got to undergo this very serious operation, but at least you won't have the financial stresses involved.
Which is why we bought insurance in the first place. Unexpected emergency. This was unexpected.
Thankfully, the surgery went well, and they got on with life until, back at home, 6 months later, the doorbell rang.
It was a package containing a letter saying that all of Bill's medical expenses were now our responsibility.
And what was the grand total?
$346,000.
No, we thought we were going to live in a tent, I think.
So, what went wrong? Despite Bill asking his family doctor for help before filling out that medical form, once he made a claim, Manulife scrutinized it against his medical records and said he should have answered yes to 2 questions, and that made his whole policy null and void. And Bill's not alone.
Dear Mr. Ransom, we acknowledge...
We've heard from dozens of others who've received similar devastating letters from insurance companies denying their claims.
Your claim is not
As the
covered
policy
under
is
the
void
terms of
based
the
on
above
misstatement.
Therefore, the policy is null and void.
The bottom line is there's something wrong in the industry. When people are planning a trip, think they have all their T's crossed and their I's dotted. We get home, and now we're in financial ruin.
The Jennings negotiated a lower hospital bill, but they're still on the hook for $160,000.
Ordinary people are out thousands and thousands of dollars.
Susan Ang is with CARP, a nonprofit group that speaks up for seniors and often gets travel insurance complaints.
I brought along a couple of medical questionnaires that people fill out.
She says those questionnaires pretty much set people up to fail.
They did not get the protection they thought they had, only because they made a mistake on a form that they could not possibly have done correctly.
Do people know everything that's in their medical file? That's what's expected of them.
You know, most people do think they know what their medical conditions are, but not in the language that's in the form. And that's where the disconnect comes.
But the companies say, technically, it's in writing. You're wrong. You misrepresented yourself in this questionnaire.
You know, I think it's, I don't think you can say that you laid everything out and you can read for yourself when it takes both a doctor and a lawyer to interpret the form properly.
And there's our first insurance lesson. Make one mistake on that travel health form, you're not covered. So you can be on thin ice on the road, but what happens if you're traveling on a road? Our next lesson in insurance has to do with your car. We're on our way to the scene of an accident. More than 1 million accident claims are made in Canada every year. Hockey dad Richard Fisher is about to add his name to the list.
So basically what happened?
So we were just driving along, heading to the hockey game, and they slowed down, and I stopped, and by the time I looked in the rearview mirror, this gentleman had driven into me.
How much damage? Any idea on yours?
He hit me pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's probably gonna, I'd hazard a guess it'd be a few $1,000s for sure.
Okay.
But there is one insurance claim he can't make. The money he will lose because his car will be worth less after this crash.
What about the diminished value of the car? If you try to sell that car a year from now or less, you'll get less than you would if it hadn't been in the accident.
Well, that's crazy. Why are we paying on the insurance? I've never had it just burns me because I've never had an accident, and I've paid my insurance, I've paid my premiums year after year. How can that be?
Like we said, it's called diminished value or accelerated depreciation. Basically, if you sell or trade in your car after an accident, you'll likely be out of pocket, even if it's almost as good as new. I know it's a little complicated, so we're going to show you what we mean. We're at this used car showroom in North York, Ontario, setting up a pair of almost identical pre-owned Ford Escapes. These folks are in the market for a used vehicle.
Do you have a preference of either one of them, looking at them? Or?
Looking at them? No, they look very much the same.
They look exactly the same to me.
Yeah.
They are pretty much the same. But watch what happens when we tell them that the vehicle on the right had a major crash, costing thousands of dollars in repairs.
I take the one on the left.
Would you?
Oh, I'd probably go for the one on the left.
I would expect that to be a better performing vehicle than the one on the right.
Everybody picks the car on the left, the one they're told has not been in an accident.
I think that when a car is in an accident, even though it's been completely restored, it's never the same as the original.
So how much of a cut in price would they expect to get for the one in the accident?
Well, definitely want a huge discount on that.
I don't know, 25% maybe?
At least $5,000.
And that's diminished value. When we come back, we hit the road with the man who wants his insurance company to pay for it.
I was angry that, of no fault of mine, now my car is $10,000 less.
And later, another insurance story to make your head spin.
You just think you're doing the right thing for your family, and so it's too bad I didn't see it coming.
We're revealing the cold, hard facts about insurance.
Are you covered?
Including something the industry doesn't want you to know. The financial loss you suffer when selling your car after it's been in an accident.
Well, that's crazy. Why are we paying on the insurance?
It's called diminished value. And out in BC, Peter Fan is going to court to claim it. A few years back, Peter bought himself a limited edition Dodge Charger. Then a truck rear-ended the car.
The damage went all the way right there.
Wow. So even on the sides as well?
All the way to the side. It crumpled the whole back end. I came home and saw it, and I couldn't believe my eyes. My baby.
Peter's insurance covers the cost of the repair is about $13,000. But because he likes to trade in his car every few years, he wants to know if the accident will affect what he could get for it.
One dealership wouldn't touch it.
What do you mean, wouldn't touch it? What do you mean?
Well, they wouldn't buy it from me.
Really?
Because they would have difficulty selling it to another buyer.
And the second dealer's evaluation?
Probably about $10,000 less is what he's offering me from market value.
What was your reaction? What did you think?
I was angry. I was angry that, of no fault of mine, now my car is $10,000 less due to somebody else's fault for hitting me.
So Peter goes back to the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, ICBC, and asks them to cover him for diminished value too.
When you proceeded with this, what was the reaction of the ICBC to it?
They basically said that there's no such thing.
No such thing? Try telling that to used car dealer Nick Cabani.
This car looks in pretty good shape.
It's in very good shape, yeah. It's got the M Sports package.
Any accidents?
This one here has no accidents.
And that's the first question he gets from buyers.
Usually, if we say yes, it's game over. They walk out. They're not interested anymore.
Are you stuck with the car then?
We do get stuck with cars, and we try not to buy cars with accidents, but reality is there's lots of cars on the road that have been in accidents.
People in the insurance industry, Nick, say essentially that diminished value or accelerated depreciation is kind of a mirage. It's not real. What would you say to them?
Well, it definitely is real because there is a loss. It's just who pays. It's either the insurance company, the insured, or the owner of the car.
So if it is real, does ICBC include it in their coverage? We ask, and they send us this email. ICBC does not offer this policy, and we are not aware of any other auto insurance provider in Canada that does. But it's not impossible to find a place where diminished value is covered. You just have to head due south to Georgia.
Has your car been wrecked and fixed? Then it definitely lost resale value.
For more than a decade, it's been the law here that insurance companies must pay it. So we head across town to meet the man who helped make it happen.
It's designed to fully compensate you, and we haven't seen any significant change in insurance rates because of it.
Until recently, John Oxendine was Georgia's Commissioner of Insurance.
How much resistance was there from the insurance industry against a law which seemingly would make them just pay out a lot more money?
They fought it for years and said it would be terrible and devastating, and it really hasn't been. The sky has not fallen down as a lot of people predicted it may.
Peter Fan settled his lawsuit just before trial.
A thing of beauty.
For an amount that covered the loss on his beloved Charger. There's insurance lesson number 2. Selling your car after an accident, its value has dropped, but you're not covered. When we return, your home is your most precious possession of all.
I think the beauty of the mortgage insurance was that we felt we were covered.
She wasn't. Are you?
And still ahead.
This is the dumbest charge I've ever seen, believe me. Yes, this is a contender. It's right up there.
We're finding out that insurance can often leave us out in the cold. One of the common missteps we take is thinking we have coverage since we pay for it.
If you're paying a monthly insurance premium on time every year, do you think you're covered? True or false?
True. True.
True. True.
True.
I would assume true.
I'd say true.
Have our skaters figured wrong? That's where we begin our final insurance lesson, your home. From Canmore to Calgary, southern Alberta was underwater this summer.
It's shocking. Disheartening.
100,000 people forced from their homes.
We're just trying to prevent our basement from flooding, and I can't imagine the whole house disappearing.
2 weeks later, Toronto gets more rain in 2 hours than the city normally gets in a month.
And the freezer's floating.
Ontario's most expensive natural disaster ever.
I don't know where to start.
Thousands of homeowners were stunned to learn insurance didn't cover them.
We thought that the natural disaster thing covered it, but apparently not.
Floods are one of the most common and costly natural disasters in Canada. But real estate lawyer Bob Aaron says home insurance leaves most of us high and dry.
Well, people think they have insurance. So they look down the back stairs, they say, uh-oh, there's 6 inches or 12 inches of water in my basement, I'm covered. It doesn't occur to them that it may be dirty water, it may be clean water. And there's a great difference for insurance purposes whether the water's coming up from the bottom or coming down from the walls or the windows.
That's what caught so many homeowners off guard. Water damage is covered in most policies, but floods aren't included, and neither is sewer backup. That's extra.
So the people at home don't care where the water comes from. In their mind, they've got flood damage.
I got a wet basement, just fix it. Just send in the crew and take the water away and fix it.
But then you find out.
But then you find out you're not covered, and then there's a big bill and you pay for it.
When it comes to floods, the message is, don't assume your home is in the clear. Leanne Santos found out the hard way.
We'll have Christmas morning here.
About another big household bill millions of us have to pay, the mortgage.
So this is my husband Louis and myself, and the girls are in the background.
Leanne and her husband Louis signed up for mortgage life insurance. If one of them died before the mortgage was paid off, the policy would cover what was left.
I think the beauty of the mortgage insurance was that we felt we were covered to, like that it would protect us, right? That my girls would have, we would always have the house.
But her husband died suddenly from a heart attack.
He was like my biggest cheerleader, right? And sometimes I worry about the girls.
But at least their mortgage would be paid, or so Leanne thought. Turned out her husband misunderstood the form and made a mistake about his medication. That's when Leanne discovered a practice called post-claim underwriting.
Post-claim underwriting, I think, is an evil stepmother. I don't think it's a fair friend, you know. I don't think it is explained properly, and I don't think people understand the scope of what it does to your life.
Simply put, the bank gave Louis the policy and charged premiums without doing a thorough check of his health records. Then the insurance company took a much closer look and denied Leanne's claim.
Do you think that's a fair way to deal with people?
I don't think it's fair, and I think they should do some more due diligence when an application is made. And if it matches, give coverage, and if it doesn't match, don't give coverage.
That sounds pretty practical advice. Why aren't insurance companies doing that?
Probably because it would take too much time and too much money. And they're always covered by the fact that if there's a misrepresentation in the application, too bad.
They're off the hook.
They're off the hook.
And thus ends lesson number 3. Whether it's home insurance or mortgage life insurance, even if you're paying the premiums, it's possible you're not covered.
What do you think of that?
I don't think that's very fair.
Now I will do a little more digging.
Okay, Tom, and we're gonna push.
It's a fine line between preparation and panic.
1, 2, 3, push.
So what can you do? Make sure to read your insurance policy closely. And whatever you do, don't wait for disaster to strike.
Don't high-five me, I'm gonna go down again.
To find out you're not covered.
We're on the hunt for Canada's dumbest charge ever.
I have numerous bills here from the last year.
And Marketplace viewer Bob Eakin thinks he's got it.
I'm not happy at all.
It all started when Bob rented a car from Avis. You know them, one of the major car rental companies in the country.
There's my e-receipt from Avis.
When he got the bill, he noticed a little something extra called an FTP charge.
I had to dig into it, find out what it stood for, and it stands for Frequent Traveler Program.
So you had never heard of an FTP charge?
No, I hadn't, no.
Bob's a traveling sales guy based near Vancouver, so he rents a lot of cars. No wonder he wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Did anyone explain to you what that charge was for?
No, they didn't. No, I'd like to get clarification on that.
So to find out, he's going back in to Avis.
Okay, so the mic is in there, feeling good?
Yeah, feels good.
With a hidden camera.
Morning. I have a question regarding my Avis bill. It calls it a frequent traveler program.
Do you collect aeroplane points?
I do, yeah. That's
what that is.
So to give me the points,
They have a service.
I got to pay for it.
75 cents per day.
Yep, when Bob collects Aeroplan points, Avis can charge him a fee for that reward, up to $5.25.
Well, everything used to be free, but then people figured out a way to nickel and dime us all to death. That's all it is.
Nickel and dime is what Avis is doing to people. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That additional charge doesn't sit well.
It's like when your father or parents give you a Christmas gift and say, Merry Christmas, here's a gift. oh, by the way, you're losing your allowance, so we can pay for the gift.
To find out what a marketing expert thinks about Avis charging to give a reward, we catch up with UBC prof Kate White.
This is not a good policy. So when the consumer perceives something as being an incentive and that it's sort of combined with a charge, which is a penalty, this is a negative thing.
Bob says he wasn't told about this charge.
It sounds like the charge is kind of flying under the radar.
That's exactly how Bob sees it.
If they're burying that in their surcharges, it's totally unfair. Why don't they just put it into the rental price of the car?
When we check the Avis website, the charge is listed, but it's buried in the terms and conditions.
We asked Avis for an explanation. Here's what they told us.
The frequent travel program fee is a car rental industry-wide practice. We check. Turns out most car rental companies do charge when they give you points.
You take Aeroplan?
We do.
But what about other places where you can collect Aeroplan points? Home Hardware doesn't charge. Or Esso. In fact, we check 15 different companies. Not a single place dings the customer to collect. And as far as Bob's concerned,
This is the dumbest charge I've ever seen, believe me. Yes, this is a contender. It's right up there.
Hey Canada, can you top that? Keep sending us your picks for the dumbest charge ever. We'll be back after the holidays with another one of your biggest pet peeves, frustrating packaging.
you nominated packages making you psycho.
Can't take it off at all.
And now, guess what we found?
Most frustrating package!
I can't hear you. In January, we reveal Canada's first ever Rap Rage Awards.
This holiday season, we'll all get rap rage, so let it out on our Facebook page. Share photos of the gifts giving you rage. We'll be back with all new programming January 10th.